I really do not think that it's going to maintain that valuation. I think people are just looking at this circle not really as an investment, but as a trade. And actually, you can see that from the fact that like the turnover in shares is like 70% or something. Like people are just like trading it. They're not really investing in it. So it's a
meme stock.
It's a meme stock. Welcome back to Bitcoin.com's Token Narratives, where we discuss the biggest stories shaping the Bitcoin cryptoverse. My name's Graham Stone, and I'm repping the marketing function over here at Bitcoin.com, and I'm joined, as usual, by news and research gigabrain, Mr. David Sensel. Welcome, sir.
How's it going? You're wearing a collared shirt, button-down shirt. That's it's a rare occurrence.
Stepping it up.
I bet you're wearing shorts though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely wearing shorts. I'm not just sitting here in my underwear. Totally.
Nice.
Yeah. So obviously we got a bit of a dip here as war has seemingly broken out.
Pretty wild stuff.
Let me just bring up the chart. Yeah. Oh, it looks like we may have reached the bottom here on Bitcoin. Currently trading at just under 104K. It dropped around 4.5% over in the last 24 hours on this news. So Bitcoin, as usual, sort of reacting quickly to the downside in this type of event. Meanwhile, gold doing the opposite. So we're seeing a little spike here in gold, muted by Bitcoin standards in terms of the percentage, but we're looking at 10x the market cap, obviously, of gold. Peter Schiff dancing on the grave, yeah, dunking. In response to Israel launching an airstrike against Iran, gold is up, back above $3,410. Bitcoin, on the other hand, just tanked below $104,000. Priced in gold, Bitcoin is now more than 15% below its November 2021 peak. So,
what a funny guy. He's obviously just getting attention from crypto people. So,
well, he does have a point, though. I mean,
for sure. And also, like oil is up as well. Oil and gold
Oil's
are both
up. Gold's up. Yeah. So
stocks are down.
Just looking at the whole conflict here, what actually happened? So I'm seeing images of some bombs. It looks like Israel has supposedly killed the chief of staff of the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is a summary from Adam Cochran, one of the crypto commentators out there. And Israel's hit multiple nuclear sites, including enrichment facilities, has also allegedly struck sites that include the homes of some nuclear scientists. Israel claims Iran has enough nuclear material to make up 15 bombs in a few short days, and it expects a multi-day war, including ground forces, against Iran. That seems like something that was not expected, according to the commentators I've heard. However, I would note that just searching on this. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to add in a couple. Okay, on what you said so far, just from these images and stuff. In my experience with the other Middle Eastern conflicts that have happened, or even like with the Ukraine war, these initial images often get community posted. Like it's very normal for, I don't know, up to 20, 30, 40% of them to be community posted being like, this is from a previous conflict, or this is, so I would honestly take all of this. Take all of this with a big grain of salt. And really X now rewards this kind of, like you said, engagement farming. And so I would be very skeptical about everything you see, at least for a day or two.
That's a good point. I just one thing I noticed when I was having a quick look at what actually happened here, like woke up, first thing I noticed was the price of Bitcoin being down, and I'm like, well, why is that? Oh, sure enough, okay, war or threat of war. So I had a quick look online, and it looks like there's a bunch of articles published like 8 hours ago or in the previous day, really, saying that they expect this to be happening. So, like 7 hours ago, Trump acknowledges Israel could attack Iran soon. CIA analyst who leaked So the powers that be knew this was going to happen, and then just a few hours ago, like something actually did happen.
Yeah, a couple commentators that I trust on this, they've outlined the normal kind of pattern between Israel and Iran, or Israel and some of its bigger what's it called, peers in the region, which is Israel will telegraph well in advance that it's going to do something, then it does it, and then the opposition have a response kind of already planned. And so you get this kind of like, it might appear to be more loose, but it's more managed than you think. Now, what you just said kind of makes me think of that. I didn't know about this, but the fact that news outlets are talking about this well before kinetic activity makes me think that it might be less warlike. I hope. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being optimistic, but it does seem very highly telegraphed then, right? The other thing I would say is, you would. So we had this initial sell-off, right, on the start of conflict. If it does include ground forces and making incursions into Iran, I'd expect a further drop, right? So now you have this level of conflict probably relatively priced in, right? So you had this drop. If there's further escalation, for example, ground forces from Israel going into Iran, I don't think that's priced in yet, and so then I would expect a further dip. Yeah,
that's I think a good way to analyze this, because the question is, right, like, do you buy the dip here? Do you buy the dip on Bitcoin if you're a Bitcoin investor? And what you're saying there is, like, if things escalate further, it could dip further. So maybe now is not quite the time to buy the dip. Let's look at some how this has played out in the past, right? We got this post here from Goodwill, and he's just showing a few of the previous military conflicts and what Bitcoin did. So in 2020, there was a US drone strike on an Iranian general. Bitcoin dropped 7% that day, but fully recovered within 4 to 5 days. Then in 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, we had a 10% drop, bottomed within 36 hours, bounced back 2 to 3 days. Same story in 2023 with the Israel Hamas escalation, about a 6% drop. Yes, it goes on. And then I think, David, you found this chart.
This is the TradFi version.
This is the TradFi version. So what is this? This is the S&P or something. S&P 500, and just marked with all these conflagrations, which have been really, there's minimal effect on the market, like just short dips, immediate bounce back.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, actually, even World War II.
I mean, there's other kind of other forces at play there that also helped it. But I think I saw I Am Nomad, the legendary crypto account. He kind of summed it up best this morning with one sentence, which was just markets don't like uncertainty. And I think that kind of explains most of the drop so far is you just get this initial pullback when things become uncertain, a repricing, and then players can kind of move on from there. So
yeah, I mean, it is interesting that gold spiked on this while Bitcoin dropped. That sort of confirms how things have been played out time and time again. Bitcoin is not the safe haven asset that
I mean,
many hope it to be.
As the wet blanket, I was not surprised by this at all. But again, I wrote an op-ed about this a couple months ago, I think, though, which is it depends on really kind of what you mean by like a risk hedge, right? Over the long term, it really has performed like one. But in these short term examples, like I wrote in the op-ed, for example, a market crash or war breaks out, in the short term, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. Gold does.
Yeah. So in that respect, you just should be looking at this as a buy the dip opportunity. If you've got some dry powder on the sidelines.
Well, maybe we're going to talk about this.
To deploy it.
We're going to talk about this, right? Like, how do we feel about the cycle? Where are we? Is this, just all that kind of stuff. So, is it a good time to buy the dip, Graham? I don't know. Find out soon.
Let's get into it. So, here, why don't we start by sharing this wonderful.
So, can I preface this? This segment is going to be, I think, a recurring segment for me for the next month or so, or more or longer. I think I started doing this on. I started doing this on X this week, but basically, I'm just going to be posting things and asking the question, "Where are we in the cycle?" As kind of a rhetorical thing, because I think it, to me, what I post and what I talk about, it really does show where we are in the cycle. So, having said that, where are we in the cycle?
Everyone's got a boner. Everyone's happy. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Everyone's got a boner. Everyone's happy. Bitcoin's going to the moon. I can just.
Everyone's got a boner. Everyone's happy. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Is that the refrain, or is that the chorus?
I think so. I think so. It's everyone's got a boner. Everyone's happy. Bitcoin's going to the moon. So, Graham, okay. I tagged you this week with this clip, and I said, where are we in the cycle? Or actually, I asked you what your thoughts were. But yeah, the question is, where are we in the cycle? Should we go to the next one?
Sure.
So for the audience, just keep asking yourself, where are we in the cycle?
Yeah. Next one.
Companies buy Bitcoin. What is this? Which one is this? Oh, yeah. Well, I can just read this next one.
Yeah, go for it.
So, again, this is reported from a crypto news outlet, The Block. It says, NASDAQ-listed fitness company plans to raise $500 million for, what is this? FET crypto treasury. So this is not even Bitcoin. And we're buying tokens, 500 mil of FET, Fetch.ai's native token. So that's interesting. We're now breaking out from Bitcoin treasury companies, Graham, and we're raising $500 million for some coin, right? Not even Ethereum.
Never
or
even
Solana.
heard of that one. Fetch.
Question: where are we
There
in
was,
the cycle?
there was this one. Tony G. You see this? So Tony G, which apparently is a Canadian investment holdings company.
Seriously?
So
that name?
Yeah, they put Tony G. They put $438,000 into Hyperliquid's token, and it pumped the stock by 57 million in market cap. So about an 8x.
Oh,
There's Tony
Lord.
G. Was 55 cents Canadian, now over $4.50 Canadian.
Was it last cycle, Graham, or was it 2 cycles ago where people put blockchain in their name? Like there was an iced tea.
Yeah, that was 2017. Long Island iced tea. That's the classic.
Yeah, blockchain. Doesn't this sound like that?
This is interesting. Like, it goes back to the whole Circle IPO, right? Like, if you look at like Circle's earnings, I think I saw the number that the current valuation of Circle is 150 times earnings, approximately, which is like insane. I mean, what is like Google trades at like 30 times earnings or something. So I guess the thing is, right, like, Circle, maybe it sits right at the epicenter of the whole like stablecoin thing, and then also the crypto thing. Like, so you can get access to, from the TradFi markets, crypto / the stablecoin narrative. And Circle's kind of like the only way to do that. So,
but also, I mean, there's so many other. It's very early in the stablecoin game, right? Like, you have.
Yeah, but right now in the TradFi world, Circle is really, I guess, actually probably
PayPal?
The smarter thing would be
Robinhood, PayPal,
yeah, or Coinbase itself, since they get half the profit of Circle. But yeah, people
what happens when
Robinhood
launches it? Yeah, what happened when Robinhood launches their own stablecoin? Right.
Yeah, I mean, never mind that. Like, what about the actual banks? I've heard murmurings of like a consortium of banks looking at launching their own stablecoin. Yeah. So, but the point is, though, like, where are we in the cycle? We're at the point in the cycle where people are like desperately trying to get in on this narrative, and the Circle IPO, I think, is the perfect example of that. Like, I really do not think that it's going to maintain that valuation. I think people are just looking at the Circle not really as an investment, but as a trade. And actually, you can see that from the fact that like the turnover in shares is like 70% or something. Like, people are just like trading it. They're not really investing in it. So it's a
meme stock.
It's a meme stock. Yeah.
All right, let's go to this next one. This was hilarious. This came out this morning. Where are we in the cycle? Podcaster Pompliano. So the FT is reporting that Pomp, a podcaster, is going to be a CEO of a Bitcoin treasury SPAC. Good Lord, Graham, SPACs are back. Now, we all remember how well that whole thing ended. It was terrible, right? So this is wild to me. This is combining like the blow off topness of last cycle in TradFi, the whole SPAC thing, with now in like a crypto Bitcoin vehicle. I mean, it's just like hilarious sounding, right? I don't even know. So the funny thing is, if you read the article, SPAC is not even mentioned. And so I had to use ChatGPT, and I was like, is this really a SPAC? And I got the response back, yes. The term blank check vehicle is a common synonym for SPAC. right? So this article uses the term blank check vehicle. And I imagine that the article purposely uses blank check vehicle because SPAC has been so fully run through the mud, right? It's like a dirty word after what happened in 2021, 2022. So here we have it, guys. We have a SPAC now that's going to raise money for buying Bitcoin, and it's run by a podcaster.
Yeah.
Where are we in the cycle?
Yeah. Kind of a brutal take here from Shadow Coder. Dude's such a culture vulture. Yeah, ruthless.
He's not selling mattresses anymore, bro.
Yeah, well, you got to respect the hustle.
Oh, of course. Come on,
Yeah.
look what we're doing. But still, you can poke fun at different things, and I like getting eviscerated in the comments.
This one I didn't like. I didn't understand. What is this? Wall Street is investing billions in marinas for bigger yachts.
This is the TradFi version of where we are in the cycle. So I wanted to show you that this is not just a crypto phenomenon, right? Which is important. This is really, really important, especially if you're expecting retail to really come into crypto, which is what you would expect in the kind of the final phase of a bull cycle, right? I still think that retail has to come in to some degree to really get that kind of euphoric blow off topness. And the fact that here's Eric Balkanis talking about this, the fact that Wall Street is now building infrastructure so that they can hold bigger yachts. This is again really tells you kind of where we are in the cycle, and that it's not just like in our own personal bubble.
Yeah.
In the last one, could you do the Saylor and Peterson on Bitcoin? Jordan Peterson had a interview with Michael Saylor this past week, and there were some really great clips that came out of that interview. This one to me is kind of it's the most interesting because I think it shows you where we are in the cycle, but it's also really damning about Bitcoin and the new kind of Bitcoiner, which I want to talk about after this. But so I'll only talk about where we are in the cycle.
So why won't going everywhere? If it's ramping up in terms of its success, and let's say that's exponential, because perhaps it might be, why won't Bitcoin just suck the investment capital out of everything? It is, and it will. Okay. That's why I'm here. That's okay. So what's the consequences of that?
All right. So yeah, I found that to be, again, not to bury the lead here, but let me tell you where I think we are in the cycle. I personally think that we're on the cusp of that kind of just, this is truly different. This is world changing. Bitcoin is going to the moon, and it's not just something that people in crypto are saying, and it's not just like some empty thing that people say to kind of make themselves feel better about their bags. People are really going to start believing it, right? They're going to start thinking their farts smell like French perfume, and so I might be wrong, but I'm starting to feel that you're getting really smart people who are kind of really believing that this is it, and this is the end game. Bitcoin's going to suck up all the capital. All these Bitcoin treasury companies are going to elevate Bitcoin to this new super galactic dynamic thing, and that to me is the recipe for the final phase of this cyclogram, is where you have people who really, really believe, and not stupid people either, right? You have all these really smart people who are starting to get incredibly excited and convinced, and then they're able to convince retail, right? They're able to finally bring in retail who haven't really bought in yet. So yeah, that's where I think we're in the cycle, and this is not to say that it's going to end anytime soon, but I think we're entering this kind of finally it feels to me like we're entering this phase, which can last quite a long time, of where you just get these kind of just really overly optimistic, wild takes on what's going to happen in the next couple of years,
Yeah. $200,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2025 is now considered a conservative. It's a conservative take. Like from respected financial institutions, you keep seeing these reports, like, I don't know, from like banks, investment banks, Fidelity, blah blah blah. Conservative base case 2025, 200K, and then all the mega bulls are just like increasing their predictions.
1 million by 2028.
1 million.
Hayes said that.
Hayes said that
exactly. Today or so. Jordy Alexander from Steady Lads, I think it was late last year, but he said this and it's always stuck in my mind. So shout out to him. He was saying that what you'll see in all the cycles that he's been in, what you'll see is that when it turns from bear to bull, you'll see really smart leading analysts make predictions for where Bitcoin is going, or any asset really, but Bitcoin is going. Bitcoin's going to go to 100K easily this cycle, right? 90% conviction. And then when you start to get later in the cycle and those price targets are either met or you're getting close to those price targets, those same analysts will then double, triple, or quadruple their original prediction. And he said, for him, that is a sign of where we are in the cycle, right? So to your point, right? Like, I bet all these analysts who are like 2,000, this is, or 200K, this is it. 12 months ago, 18 months ago, it was probably like, 90, 120, if we're being optimistic, and they're all revising their things upwards. So again, that's where we are. That's where I think we are. How about you, Graham? Do you agree with my thing, or do you have a slightly different take where you think we are?
No, I agree with that. I think that's a good way to look at it. But I do think that we still got quite a way to run here. I actually do think 200K by the end of the year is reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Like I said, this has that final phase-ish feel, but that can go on for quite a while, and it gets crazy, right? This is where you get the really kind of crazy, wild, euphoric thing happen, right? And I don't feel like we've had that thus far this cycle at all, right?
Yeah.
So, but all this like Bitcoin treasury thing, and then you have people who really like Saylor talking about this, and all, it's just so, anyway.
So if you're not allocated to Bitcoin, if you feel you're really under allocated to Bitcoin / crypto right now, is it too late to get into the game?
Well, okay. So I wanted to, for my own thought process, I wanted to kind of walk through with you what what you should do from this point. So how to play the next phase. First of all, you need to decide where do you think we are in the cycle. Well, the easiest thing to do is just, if you don't want to deal with any of this, if whatever, you're not good at trading or anything like that, just buy it now, and then just don't do anything for a couple years, right? Like, that's the easiest thing to do. It really does work. I don't think it really matters where you buy Bitcoin. I do believe in Bitcoin. I do think it'll go up on the long term. So the number one foolproof thing to do is just buy now.
I don't think we're in a euphoric blow off top yet. You want to try to avoid buying there if you can. So, timing the Pico top to sell, that's a tough game to play. But I think it's a bit easier maybe to avoid buying the Pico top.
Yeah. And so I think the first and most important thing to do is kind of decide where you think we are in the cycle. And it can be something as simple as beginning or end, and you can kind of get more granular if you have more confidence on that. Once you have a decent idea of where you think you are, you need to think about what you think is going to run, right? What is going to run? Obviously, Bitcoin is going to run. Do you think anything else is going to run? And then I would, for more advanced people or whatever, I would think about in what order is it going to run, right? And then finally, signs to get out. So I think we're entering the final phase of the bull market. I think Bitcoin is going to run. I think Solana is going to run, to a lesser extent Ethereum, and maybe one or two others that I would have high conviction on. And then for me, the order, I still think Bitcoin runs first. I think Bitcoin dominance still goes up. I think that's a bit of a non-consensus view. A lot of the people that I respect,
most people think that Bitcoin dominance has peaked.
Yeah, I just personally don't see how that happens. Because the people who are running this market, the crypto market, are the institutions, right? They're the ones who are buying. They're the ones who are buying anything, basically, and they're buying Bitcoin, and they're not fucking. Oh, sorry, they're not buying. They're not buying all this other stuff, at least not yet. And so, I imagine you get a squeeze on Bitcoin, like euphoric, because of all the whole trade too, right? It's the Michael Saylor is this cycle's SBF. Or Suzu, right? He is the leading face of crypto. He's the one who's who's so highly convicted, and he's out there saying just all this aspirational stuff. He's the one who's going to get people to jump into this market, and he's buying Bitcoin. And so I think Bitcoin leads, and then once Bitcoin draws in everybody, then you'll see dispersion from the people drawn into the other stuff. Anyway, so that's what I think. And then I would recommend listening to some of our previous episodes where we talked about when to get out. Oh, what episode was that? 54, whatever it was. There are a lot of signs that you can look at, but just look at those.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I think my base case is sort of end of this year, maybe early next year will be the peak of the global liquidity cycle, which corresponds with the price of Bitcoin.
If we get more printing, though, right, like that could go on for a fair bit. Right, like you could there's the US could just decide very soon to start printing money, right? Especially like I think this week I heard a lot of rumblings on X about Trump kind of announcing who's going to replace Powell with, and the person wouldn't become an official for some time, but that would basically remove most of Powell's power, which is just kind of telling the market what he's going to do. And so this new person would then inherit pretty much all that power. And if this new person, if Trump is like, this is my guy, he's going to replace Too Slow Powell. Isn't that what he calls him? Too Slow Powell. And so listen to him. And then this new guy's like, yeah, we're cutting rates. The day I become the guy, we're cutting rates. That would juice the markets, right? And then if he actually did it, you'd see just a spike in liquidity. I think that would cause a lot of other countries to be able to do that themselves, and so you might see an extension of that to some degree. Yeah.
I've heard more and more people saying that rate cuts, first of all, are less and less likely, but perhaps more importantly, not as important as they once were. Something about it's more about the fiscal situation that's driving markets rather than the interest rates.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing, and I tend to agree with that. However, I think that's really true for the U.S., but I imagine that for like Europe and China, if they're able to, I think if the U.S. cuts interest rates, I think it would allow other countries to have less pressure on them borrowing, or what's it called, printing money, basically, and then they could have more fiscal spending, right? So the government could then maybe go out and do it more. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right.
All right. Let's talk about some of those other cryptocurrencies that might do well. So you said Sol is one that you're looking at to possibly perform better than Bitcoin once Bitcoin starts to cool down, I guess. ETH to a lesser extent. And then I know that everyone is talking about Hyperliquid, right?
That's right.
It's the belle of the ball. Recently broke. Here, let me bring up the screen here. Let's see. Hype recently broke a new all-time high, I believe, of almost hitting $44. It too is down on this war news to a similar, maybe double percentage-wise compared to Bitcoin, which is expected. So far trading kind of as beta to Bitcoin, I'd say. It's moving higher on the upside and lower on the downside.
Yeah. Classic altcoin.
Classic altcoin. Currently, the fully diluted value is, what is it? I don't have that information here.
It's like 35 or 40 bill, something like that.
35 or 40 billion. People are saying that it could go much higher. I know you're a hype bag holder, David. Do you have
I am.
A long-term thesis?
Full disclosure, I am a hype bag holder, and I do think that I would say it's my base case for this is it's probably the soul of this cycle. Soul was the soul of last cycle. So I think it'll probably perform better than any other major altcoin, Sol included. And again, I am a bag holder. So a couple things on hype. So that, yeah, all that stuff is the maxi stuff. We can come back to that. I would like to talk about that later, but if we have time, but we might not have time. All right. So this is the people on X who like hype, right? So there's a bunch of people, and the first and kind of the most eye-opening one of it was Kobe. I don't know if he likes hype. This is his prediction, though, right? And he said that he predicts in the future, didn't specify a time frame. It could be this cycle or next cycle, but he predicts that it would go to 150, 200-ish. Again, not predicting a time. And to have someone as, I think, smart as Kobe say that, it was seen by many, including myself, as reassuring. But there have been a lot of people, I think my timeline is just cluttered with people kind of shilling hype, which I don't particularly like. It makes me feel like they've got heavy bags that they're just waiting to dump on people who are buying it. One of the ones that I've seen a lot of was Arthur Hayes, who had like three posts about it in rapid succession this week. And so he obviously, I don't know what point he bought his bags, but I think it's probably been in this most recent, or the dip a couple months ago when hype went down to $8. I bet he loaded up then, right? So the funniest one that he said, which is, again, you're starting to see this kind of euphoric thing, is he said, "Fam, do hype perp volumes flip Binance's this bull cycle? Discuss." To me, this post it smacks of the flippening posts 2 cycles ago, right? You know what I'm talking about, Graham? Like,
yeah.
For those who are who joined newer than that, this is all the rage back in 17 and even 2021, talking about at what point was Ethereum going to flip Bitcoin's market cap. And it was just this kind of wildly euphoric, crazily aspirational thing. And here you have this. This is the DEX. This is the exchange version of that, right?
Yeah. No, I heard a podcast earlier in the week with a couple of folks from Masari, I believe, and I forget, but basically it was an hour-long podcast where they're trying to come up with what they think the valuation is, the long-term valuation for Hype.
Oh, and, nice.
Yeah, they had a lot of interesting points, but you can't, listening to it, obviously they're all massive Hype bag holders, okay? And they're kind of all just like convincing themselves. It was an hour-long conversation of them convincing themselves that this thing is like, it's going to moon, right? It's going to go from whatever it is now, 30 billion to 300 billion. And one by one, sort of just checking off all the FUD. No, that's FUD. No, that's the criticisms of Hype are unwarranted. And I mean, there are a lot of convincing arguments for why Hype is a good token, right? We can go through them real quickly here. The team, like what's the guy's name? Jeff, yeah. Basically a math genius. He won like the math Olympiad. As he also was a child math prodigy.
Yeah, he was a successful high frequency trader in crypto before this.
Trader, yeah. And so the team apparently executes extremely well, right? And despite the name being Hype, they don't actually really engage in much marketing hype. They actually just ship. Like the exchange works well, right? And then it's not VC backed, right? People got life-changing airdrops. They distributed the supply to everyone, and perhaps most importantly, the vast majority of the revenue generated by the exchange 97% goes back into purchasing the token, right? So it's kind of unlike any other crypto. It's like what we all wanted crypto tokens to be from the start, like sort of they in a way represent equity in the company. And the project does well. The token also, like, there's a clear mechanism to connect those two.
And all the incentives are aligned, right? Like there's no extractive thing between the customer of the exchange, the investors, and the creators, right? So it's I would also note that the reason that they were able to do this airdrop this way is because they didn't take any outside money. They had no VCs, and the reason that they had no VCs is because they were a high frequency trading company, and they used their own profits from that company to make Hype completely in-house, right? So they didn't need any outside money. It was self-funded, which is pretty wild. And that's how they were able to make sure that not a single VC was involved and got like some pre-sale or some crap like that. I'm trying to find this picture. This came out a couple days ago. Oh man, it was a joke about the new Hype icon. I really, really want to find it because it's absolutely perfect for what you just said, but I can't find it. Darn it. Anyway, it's a circle jerk. Let me just put it that way. So, but here's the thing: is I love hearing pushback against this because you don't want to get kind of lost in the dreams of what this is going to do for you and how it's going to perform. But let me ask you, Graham, because I don't believe you are a hype bag holder, or not nearly as much as I am. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've got some hype, but not enough.
So you're one of those
I'm tempted,
butthurt
right?
bag holders, right? So you're biased the other way because you're like, I don't have enough, so whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But like I'm looking at this dip right now. And,
so let me ask you though.
But then
do you think
at the
it's
same
too
time,
late?
Yeah, at the same time, it's like, as we talked about before, what runs first in this market? So we maybe agree that Bitcoin runs first, right? So should I buy hype, or should I just go leverage long on Bitcoin on this dip? Right? It's kind of
this is a hard thing because hype is, in a way, not to be too shilly, but this is where hype is a bit different than other products. When Bitcoin does well, exchanges do really well. They make a ton of fees, right? Because people are trading the perps on this, and so their revenue goes up a lot when Bitcoin runs. And so that revenue that is generated on Hyperliquid, 97% of it goes directly to buying the token again. So
yeah.
it benefits massively from Bitcoin running.
However, everybody who is holding the token is up so massively that how could they not sell?
And then, but then you have this mechanical buying from the platform, right? They're not like holding it to. So, again, you're right. But then also it's kind of like an ETF, right? Like these ETFs, there's a mechanical buying. So the fact that there's a mechanical buying incentivizes you to not sell as much as you might, right? Because you know that it's just going to mechanically be bought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. So we touched briefly on the transparency thing. Could you bring up the Andrew Tate thing from Hyperliquid? This is just kind of a slight tangent, but still on Hyperliquid, about having one of the consequences of having a nominally decentralized exchange, more decentralized than like a centralized exchange like Binance. Andrew Tate earlier this week, he posted his referral code, I think, for Hyperliquid, and people were able to then look at his performance, look at his wallet, and he was losing quite a bit of money on his trades, 600K. I think he was down 600K. People were laughing at him online, and then he quickly deleted his post showing his referral code because a little embarrassing, I guess. Okay, here, Graham, in the Hyperliquid section, I put something in the bottom. This perfectly encapsulates what you were saying about that podcast where they're just kind of making themselves feel better about things. So if you're looking at this on video, please enjoy.
Oh, is this a video?
No. It's just a
I
picture.
see. Okay.
And it says,
there you go.
New Hyperliquid appreciator flag just dropped.
Is this the Hyperliquid logo?
No, it's not. But they're saying that this is the new Hyperliquid logo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
The new flag for Hyperliquid, and I totally get it. I think it. I think it's pretty accurate. And
I didn't. I'm not sharing this.
No, you're not. You're not. I think this kind of thing is good for people who like Hyperliquid to appreciate and laugh at, because you have to, right? Like, you got to maintain some perspective. That's hilarious. That's just absolutely hilarious. I find it great. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really get it. What I mean, obviously, okay, we're talking about a circle jerk, but what does that have to do with the logo?
It doesn't. It's just saying this
okay.
is it's just making a joke. It's saying, oh, this is the
Appreciator
new
flag. Okay.
for Hyperliquid, right? This is their new iconography because
Okay.
of the the nature of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have time to talk about Bitcoin maximalism, or do you have something else juicy you would like to talk about?
Yeah. Well, I just fees revenue. It seems like this whole idea that that crypto projects that actually generate revenue are like, call me crazy, but investable. So why isn't PancakeSwap mooning? Because it's right up there, right behind Tether.
Because it doesn't return fees to the token holders.
I see. So
right. None of these projects do.
Number 6 by 24-hour fees, but it actually does return
97%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you want to find is coins that actually, one, generate a lot of fees, and two, return those in some way to the token.
Yeah. The problem with it is, though, Graham, is you're not going to really see that with a lot of these projects because of the how they were structured to begin with, the backing, right? The backers are not going to want that. They're going to want the fees for themselves.
So Hyperliquid is kind of a unicorn here.
That's what the hype is. That's what's kind of driving a lot of this narrative, this token narrative. And I think, as the cycle kind of comes to a explosive end, you'll see that narrative just become kind of insufferable, right? I imagine if it's not already insufferable for people.
Yeah. Hype tattoos.
Hype tattoos, like, it'll be the Arthur Hayes thing about hype flipping Binance volume and stuff will become even more exaggerated. It'll be like that'll probably just be the beginning of it. It'll just be whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
When is hype going to go be listed on NASDAQ? I heard that they're in talks with getting a Japan listing on the Nikkei. It'll totally It's gonna this kind of thing.
They're gonna be on the Sphere.
They're gonna be on this. Oh, please don't. Do not do that. Do not do that. Absolutely not.
All right, let's wrap it up with the Bitcoin maximalism.
Okay, so I just wanted to. I think this is a good counterbalance, or like a way to reduce some of the euphoria in people about Bitcoin. Again, I am very bullish Bitcoin, but you kind of want to inoculate yourself against late cycle craziness. And I think Bitcoin maximalism, while toxic, and I've written about this and talked about it a lot, I think at this point, right now, it's actually quite a decent medicine, right? Like fighting poison with poison or something like that, right? And so a lot of the points that I've heard from maxis recently, I think are good to consider as we hear from the sailors of the world, and even I think like David Bailey talking about like all this, the Bitcoin treasury and all this kind of stuff. It's good to keep this in mind. I want to start by saying that I wrote about how Bitcoin maximalism is dead, and it's a good thing it's dead. I wrote about it about a couple of weeks ago. I still stand by that. But again, doesn't mean that it has nothing to offer and that we shouldn't listen. So anyway, I'd like to shout out one account in particular. His name is Pledator. He's a Bitcoin maxi account on X, and he has consistent kind of maximal takes as it pertains to the Bitcoin ETFs, to governments buying Bitcoin, right? These strategic reserves, and for this new Bitcoin treasury kind of thing going on here. So here, I don't know which you're showing the first one. Here he's talking about something that I think is concerning and should concern people who have like strong crypto ideals and are perhaps maximal in their thinking. He says sailors' new favorite thing to post. The sailors' new favorite thing is to post charts that convey Bitcoin as the second best asset. Quote, my stock is better than Bitcoin. And end quote, and quote, there's no second best is affinity scammer double speak. And so Strategy and Sailor have been kind of boasting about Bitcoin. For example, you can see this picture, Bitcoin's returns versus Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy's returns. And this really is kind of should be maybe head scratching if you're like a true crypto enthusiast Bitcoiner, right? And if you scroll down, Graham, he followed up with a comment, right? And look at that, right? Strategy is fully torqued Bitcoin, right? Basically saying that in a different way of interpreting this is don't buy Bitcoin, buy Strategy, or Strategy is levered Bitcoin, or something like this. I don't know, man. This, if you really are kind of in it for the tech and not just for the number go up, this kind of thing to me would be make you go, huh, interesting. And so I really like this account, Predator. He's actually come at me before, but he was pretty nice about it. And so I respect what he's doing, and I appreciate it. So I would follow his account and stuff. I think I personally disagree with him, though. I have, you know me, I'm a kind of a pragmatist. I think he's kind of fighting a losing battle. He's an idealist fighting a losing battle, and I've always thought that it would go this kind of more corporate way, Bitcoin. Who's owning it? Who will own it? Who will control it? But I do think that what he's doing is important. I don't know if you have any thoughts on all this.
Not really. It just, yeah, of course, Michael Saylor is going to shill his stock. Doesn't he have like a fiduciary responsibility to do that?
But I think what he's talking about is the kind of perhaps hypocrisy of saying there is no second best when he's talking about Bitcoin.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And then he's directly comparing Bitcoin to himself, to his own company, and his company is better. Right. And that's the thing that should make you go, right.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
you could argue that he's just saying that, or he is truly aligned with Bitcoin, and just like he's figured out this way to get more of it via his company, and that's what makes his company so great.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying he's necessarily doing a bad thing. I do think it should make you, like I said, take a step back and go, what's really going on here, right? Like,
yeah.
At the very least, it should make you pause and consider, I think.
Yeah. By the way, just had a thought, which is that actually MicroStrategy's rebrand to Strategy is
Annoying.
one of the few cases. No, I was just going to say it's one of the few cases in my opinion of like that's actually a really good rebrand.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah. Well, because first of all, like that's what it is, the strategy, right? And I don't know, like most rebrands, like I still call X Twitter half the time, but I've already pretty much moved to calling it Strategy, and also like if you all the other companies who are engaging in the strategy, they are kind of marketing for MicroStrategy. Sorry, Strategy.
I understand what you're saying. I think to me it's more like X in terms of, well, maybe for new people it really, really works, but for people who've been around, strategy is an English word that is used around this kind of thing all the time, and it just makes it confusing sounding when you're like strategy is strategy, the strategy of Bitcoin treasury strategy is strategic. And it's just like, it's just so, I absolutely hate, as someone who writes copy and does some amount of writing, I hate all these Silicon Valley companies just taking normal English words and making that their thing.
Yeah. Circle.
Oh God. And yeah. So anyway, I mean, I get what you're saying, but like X is also just horrific to write X.
X. The big thing with X that is the fail to me is that, like, with Twitter, you could say, I sent a tweet. I'm tweeting.
Zeet.
But what is it for X? There isn't one for X. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot there. Like, I'm going to post on X. There's no good way to.
Everybody still says RT. Nobody says repost RP. You say RT.
I do, just like out of this anal, like, this is not right. But yeah, it's the X one is really annoying.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Is the war still going on? We still at war? Shouldn't be fatuous.
Okay, final thoughts.
Real quick, just a couple people asked questions in the chat, so I would like to get to this.
Yeah, why do cryptocurrencies fall rapidly whenever a war breaks out in any country?
Yeah,
that one. Yeah. It's because they are not perceived as a safe haven asset, despite like what Bitcoiners would hope. In the short term, they're just perceived as like the thing you sell whenever there's like uncertainty, jittery moments.
Yeah, there's a bit of a, if you're not familiar with the what's his face's beauty pageant, I forgot, but there's a bit of the beauty pageant phenomena where something unexpected happens, and you think, what is everyone else going to do?
Yeah.
Right. And so traditionally,
a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. And so people, it's not so much necessarily what the quote unquote logical thing to do, which might be just to sit on your hands. There is a logical component, which is if war breaks out, you should be in the safest thing possible. So there is a logic to that. But then there's also this like reflexive, like meta level thing of like, oh, what do I think other people are going to do? Oh, traditionally they get out of this stuff, so I better get out of it first. Yeah.
And it just keeps happening every time. But I really do think that this is just a pretty undeniable buy the dip moment. A week ago when the Elon Trump spat happened, it's like Bitcoin and crypto dipped. Like, I don't know why, for that same reason. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, for sure, this is a buy the dip moment. The only thing that would prevent me from like, taking out more margin on my Bitcoin right now to buy this dip is the uncertainty that we don't know how this conflict is going to further escalate just yet.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up there. Any final closing thoughts, David?
No, I think we covered everything I wanted to cover. So yeah, good podcast.
All right, yeah, good talking to you. Thanks for your insights, and thanks for everyone for listening. Catch you next week on Bitcoin.com's Token Narratives.